Okay, guys, question for today. Do you need a tilt shift lens for real estate photography? So we're going to start off today by going out to the website. We're going to go to B&H. And here we have, we'll just focus on Nikon today. Here we have the new Nikon 19 millimeter tilt shift lens, okay? And we can see the price tag, $3,396. That's expensive. Even for photography, that's expensive. You know what I mean? It's like, it's up there. And we got the 24 millimeter here. It runs a little bit over 2,000, so 2,200 thereabouts. And once again, repeating the question, do we need this stuff for real estate photography? All right. So we'll go ahead and shut this down. We're going to get in here and I'm going to do a little, go through a little presentation here really quickly, and then we'll look at an example in Photoshop. So do you need it? What do you think? Do you need it? Well, I don't think so. My answer is no, okay? So we don't need a tilt shift lens, and the reason is that, why not? Why don't we need it? What do we need a tilt shift lens for when we're doing interiors work? The basic thing we need it for essentially is shifting, okay? So we need, when we're on the outside and the exterior, we need to shift up and show, less of the ground when we have a level camera. And when we're in the interiors, a lot of times we'll want to shift down so we show less ceiling. That's essentially what we need a tilt shift lens for in interiors photography. So the problem is, though, you can shift by cropping, okay? You can do pretty much the exact same thing a tilt shift lens does, but just by cropping, okay, your image in post. It's literally the same thing, so it's kind of scary, I know, but it's true. So, you're losing pixels, but, that's a really small price to pay, especially with the sensors a lot of us are working with today. 24 megapixel sensors is plenty of resolution. So, again, it's really the same thing. With both shifting and cropping, our sensor is stationary. So that just means, the camera is not moving down, ever, which would be, if you try to simulate a tilt shift lens in the field by moving your camera down, that actually changes where your sensor is, But with a tilt shift lens, we don't have to change where our sensor is. We just shift the lens down. But when we're cropping, it's the same thing, okay? So I'm going to jump into Photoshop, and, we'll see how that goes. We'll talk a little bit about what I'm saying right here, okay? All right, so here we are in Photoshop, and let's just say we're in the field, and this is what we're seeing through our camera. We got our normal lens on there. This is what we're seeing, and everything's looking good, but we'd like to be able to show a little less ceiling. So what a tilt shift lens allows you to do is, I'm going to simulate this right here with the crop tool, and we'll get in here. And what a tilt shift lens is allowing you to do is just go up or down. All right. So it allows you to show less ceiling. So right in there would be great, something like that. And it would also allow you to go up too. All right. If you wanted to show more ceiling, that would be the case if you were outside, right? You might want to, you're keeping a level camera and you're wanting to show less ground and more of the building. Okay, so you'd be shifting up. All right, so this is just a good representation of what a tilt shift lens is doing. Essentially what's happening is the sensor is staying in the same exact spot, and yet you're able to shift your composition, okay? But guess what? That's what's happening with when you crop too. Okay, so when you crop is the exact same thing. Your sensor is staying in the same position, of course. You've already taken the picture, and you're able to kind of get in here and crop at will, okay? So that is the difference. I know I chose a 16:9 aspect ratio here just to kind of get the point across, but it's the same thing, guys. You're just losing pixels with the cropping. That's it, all right? So with the cropping, you're in here, and let me just get the original ratio, and you might come down and maybe show a little less of that lamp and a little less of that. And it's really the same thing going on, like I was saying before. When you crop, it's really the same exact thing. You're just showing less ceiling, and you're taking out the sides and the ceiling, okay? And you could also, of course, go 16:9 if you wanted to. You could do a 16:9 crop, right? There's nothing stopping you from doing that, okay? So essentially what a tilt shift lens does is very nice. It allows you to quote unquote crop, but do that using your entire sensor, which is a very nice thing to be able to do, right? So, it's not, I'm not discounting it, but the benefits for us is very minimal, all right? So I think the best way to go about this is talk about what we lose without a tilt shift lens. So it's not much, okay? So the first thing we lose is pixels when we're cropping. But for us, I have interior design clients, and they're a little more discerning. I usually shoot with a 24 megapixel camera when I shoot for them, and I really don't have a problem at all cropping down quite a bit, okay? So when we talk about we lose pixels when we're cropping, it's not really a problem, especially for real estate photography, okay? So in general, this isn't an issue, in my opinion. If you feel this is an issue for you, like a real issue, you're probably at the level where, you know what you're doing. You can get a tilt shift or not. You already know what you're doing, okay? But for us, if you're confused and watching this, losing pixels is not an issue, all right? It's really not. And that's one of the things that we lose when we do the cropping method for simulating a tilt shift, okay? But it's not a big deal, all right? So the second thing we may lose is it's difficult to see your final composition in the field when you're kind of cropping in your head and you're kind of saying, well, how wide should I go? And it takes a little practice. So this is one of the drawbacks of not having a tilt shift lens, okay? You're not able to show people the exact final composition in the field, or you're not able to see it yourself either, all right? So that's a consideration you may want to, think about if you're in the market for one. If you really just can't stand not being able to see your composition, your final composition, and be able to get all that resolution that your camera provides, and you might want to buy one, all right? We lose the ability to create seamless stitches. So we didn't talk about this too much when I was in Photoshop, but with a tilt shift lens, you could essentially shoot, say, kind of even a smaller bedroom or something, and you could shoot it at a longer focal length, and then just shift the lens down and take a picture with overlapping, say take 3 pictures and they're all overlapping, and then just stitch them together in Photoshop. And what this would essentially do is allow you to shoot at longer focal lengths, and yet you're getting, the entire scene in the image, right? So it kind of, in a way, another way to put it is it allows you to have a bigger sensor, okay, or a bigger sensor, I would say. That's essentially what it's doing. So that is a good advantage, and I would say for me, this is one of the things that I would love. If I had a tilt shift, I would love to be able to do this every once in a while, but I definitely wouldn't do it for real estate. So it's not really a drawback for me. And that's it, guys. Those are the 3 things you lose. I can go into a couple more here, just, they're not as related to real estate, so that's why I kind of put them asterisks by them. But you lose the ability to, of course, selectively control your focus without a tilt shift. And that's, you can do that whole miniature photography thing with a tilt shift lens. You could probably kind of simulate that in post if you wanted to. But if you want to do that type of photography, this is more up to you. You might go out and buy a tilt shift, okay? So we're more talking about architectural stuff here, so that's why I'm putting these in asterisks. And sharpness, right? Especially if you're not shifting a tilt shift lens around. These are $2,000-$3,000 lenses, prime lenses. Of course, they're going to be sharp, right? Especially they have a very large image circle, so right in the middle of that is probably going to be especially sharp, I would say. So, this is a consideration, but I look at interior photos every day, and to be honest, this isn't big on my list of why I like photos. It's just not. Sharpness isn't a big thing it's just not why I like any of the photos that I like. The photos that I like usually happen to be sharp because the people use nice equipment, but I just look at them and I say, if they shot that on a really crappy camera, I would like it just as much, for me personally. So, you can go ahead and maybe think about stuff like this on your own. So it's all a consideration, right? And lastly, I'll just talk about some upcoming videos I have. planned for the near future, I got a lens that I really, really recommend now. It's a pretty new lens, and I'm just raving about it. So I'm just gonna keep the review for, you know, the video and not, you know, spoil the surprise. But in my opinion, the best lens by far for real estate photography. It does everything that I personally want in a lens. It has, and then some. Okay, so it's just really amazing. So we'll go over that, and I hope, you know, you get a lot out of that, because I don't want to like make people ditch their equipment and buy this, but you know, it should be a consideration. I mean, the lens is that good. Okay, so we'll check that out. And then another one I have coming up is DX versus FX. Okay, and the advantages of each, and we'll talk about how I just feel DX is really, you know, there's really some good stuff going on with crop sensor lenses right now. All right. And that'll do it, guys. Subscribe if you're interested in these particular topics right here, because those will be coming up soon, and you'll, you know, get a notification about when they're out. And I appreciate the interest, and I'll see you next time. Bye-bye.